Welcome back to Black Bull Podcast. Today we got Skam with a K.
With a K.
Yeah, so Skam is an artist around Portland. How long you been doing this for?
Well, in Portland, it's been 10 years, but I've been doing Skam since I started in like 2005. I'm originally from North Dakota. I grew up in a small town in North Dakota, and I was introduced to like sticker art in about 2004, and I kind of started basically like Bush was president then.
Wow.
And
throwback.
Yeah. Well, now he's not, doesn't look too bad to today's standards. But at that time, I did a project where it was like I chose people who I thought were my heroes and then people who I thought were a scam, and I spelled it with a K. And nobody liked the hero thing and everyone liked the scam thing. So
interesting.
I just kind of went with it from there.
So what kind of art were you doing when you first started? Street art or what?
Well, actually, in North Dakota, I got recognized for painting with ice and snow. I would do these canvases where, basically, like I wasn't even an artist at one point in time. I was just really into music, and I was like managing a music store. I was really big into electronic music and industrial and all different kinds of stuff. And my best friend actually was more of an artist than I was. And his family had just gone through a divorce, and his dad is actually a photographer for the Washington Post. He's always out of town, so we'd be hanging out at his parents' house, smoking weed in his basement. And we turned his entire basement, we put tarps up, and he would sit there and paint. And I would just watch him and like learn things. I wasn't actually participating at all. And I would always suggest things to him like, hey, you should try this. You should try that. And I remember one time we were hanging out and he was like, he got all fucking pissed and he like grabbed his brush and he threw it on the ground. He's like, you fucking try it. And I was like, fine, fuck you, I will. And so I thought of all these ideas to do these canvases where sometimes I would be painting outside as it's snowing, and I would use water-based inks, acrylics, sometimes enamel paints, spray paint. Sometimes I would work outside when it's snowing. Sometimes I would just set up the pieces and throw snow on them and then take them inside my art studio and put like hot water on them. I would have like a bottle of hot water. I'd squirt it on it and it would start getting the snow melting or ice or whatever, point it was at. And I would let it freeze over because it's so cold there. Coldest I ever got when I was growing up was 80 below zero. So I had this studio that was detached from my house, and I lived in like this 100-year-old home. It was really ghetto. They found asbestos in the place actually when I moved out. But it had this garage this old man built to change his oil out and everything. Like he built this weird, like he took the flooring out and put boards down. You could go down there. It was really kind of creepy. And I started working with ice and snow and doing these like really kind of like abstract outsider art pieces. And then I started getting into stencil art. I started finding out about stencil art. I knew who Obey was. I'd seen that before. I knew about Banksy because my only real culture I could get was like going on the internet and researching it myself. There's no culture in North Dakota. The art in North Dakota is like kind of like what I would consider to be like dentist art. Like you go to the dentist art and there's like those duck and geese and stuff like that. That's like North Dakota's like art scene. So
Shepard Fairey and Banksy, like those were some of your primary influences.
Yeah. Basically, I met this other artist who was kind of doing abstract art, and I was starting to do like stencil art. And I got really frustrated with the gallery scene out there, even though I got the recognition, like in the newspaper and everything. They did an article about me. And, but I didn't have a very good experience with galleries. And I had this friend introduce me to priority mail labels like these guys right here.
Yeah.
That you can get for free at the post office. And so I was like, well, I could just put my art on here, and then I can just put my art anywhere I want. I don't need anybody's permission. I can just go do it. And it's like a very kind of like, I don't know. There's just something like magical about just taking something that you created and like just putting it out there for free. And then there's just kind of like whatever happens to it, happens to it.
Wasn't Citizen or someone else talking about how you can just get those poster labels?
Label 228.
Yeah, sorry, I think of the mail
labels. If you look on the bottom here, it actually says label 228. That's the number that the post office uses to basically, for shipping. It's like a priority mail label.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about with Citizen, like how nostalgic it can be, just because
there's different versions. Okay, so like that's like the 2016 or I don't know, 2016. Yeah. It's bigger. There's ones that are smaller. There's ones that they call blue tops from the early 2000s. They're probably about this big, and the top of them have this really big blue line on them. There's a lot of extra space, white space to, draw on them.
Yeah.
Stencil or silk screen or whatever you want to do on them. So I was introduced to those basically, and that's kind of like when I started doing Skam, actually. It's like I did Bush first, and I did Bill O'Reilly. I did Hillary Clinton, actually, like in like 2005 or whatever. And I just kind of just took it from there. And this culture I noticed started happening I was on DeviantArt, was like the first online thing that I was on. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have really any good luck because I wasn't doing like hentai or, like anime characters. Because that's like what that community is on there at that time.
Pretty fantasy oriented and anime oriented. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know what that was. And I had a video on YouTube. With the what drives you as an artist video.
Yeah.
And then one guy commented like, yeah, I draw hentai. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I Googled it. I'm like, oh God,
tentacles and dicks and buttholes.
Great,
and
now
all
I got
that
to delete my
stuff.
history again. Jesus Christ.
That was what was popular on like DeviantArt. So
is that still active? Like, are people still?
Yeah, you can still go on to it,
but it's not as influential as it once was.
No. Well, then the thing that I like, where I found my community online, because like I would say it was beginning of MySpace. MySpace was like sticker artists started trading stickers with each other. This network started to kind of blossom, and it was MySpace, and then it was Flickr, because Flickr at one point in time, you had to pay for Flickr, and you could post your high quality photos on there. Like literally, it was like one of the only places on the internet where you could get really high quality pictures.
Right.
And then, Instagram came along and kind of took over Flickr. And
yeah, people forget that. Like Flickr totally hijacked Instagram hijacked Flickr.
Flickr's been free forever though.
It was free, but you only could post so many pictures.
Okay.
And like you only had so much room that you could put on there and everything,
Well, now they are like the biggest place that I know of for Creative Commons photos. Because
right.
like so many people have
real photography. Like
yeah.
Instagram is kind of like, I've read some articles about this where like some photographers were insulted by Instagram because the quality can be really low and you're just putting through filters.
That's the nature of an app, though.
It's for the phone. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of ridiculous to expect it to be a higher resolution than your phone.
Well, and this was at a time, too, when everyone used to take pictures with digital cameras, not your phone. Your phone didn't have that good of a camera on it. So everyone would carry around digital cameras and take pictures, go home, put it on your computer, and then upload it onto Flickr. And that's like, this community, I started seeing like these other artists who would create these iconic characters or their style. I created like the Skam character. This is like one version of them. There's a couple different versions around here.
Yeah. So
this head exploding guy was like, I made this character, this redneck, and it's supposed to like represent, the arrow is supposed to represent like an idea, like a scam, something that's a lie.
The arrow?
Yeah, the arrow.
You got an arrow on this one too. Yeah.
Yep. And it says Skam up there on the top part there. And the other side's supposed to represent like reality. Like if you knew that this scam, like say you were a religious person, you believe the day you die, you're going to go to heaven and you died and, for some reason you still had a conscience and you realize there wasn't a heaven or hell or anything, it would blow your mind.
Yeah.
So that's like what that. So I created that character and then put it out there, and all these other people did their takes on it and their versions, and it just kind of. I just started meeting all these artists. There was like an online forum called Sticker Minions, which there was artists from like the UK and Japan and like down in Mexico and all over the United States. We all kind of came together there and started this like, started trading stuff with us. Hey, I'll send you a sticker pack. You send me one back. And at that time, your reputation would be ruined if it was like somebody sent you something and then you're like, fuck it, I ain't going to send anything back. So you'd be like, fuck that guy, don't ever send him anything.
It's an agreement, and if you break the agreement, that's not cool. Speaking of collaborations, you got one with Citizen. What other collaborations do you have? This is pretty cool.
That one was Jesus is an Alien. So I did this like Jesus scam or whatever for Easter one year. And he wanted the image and I sent it to him and he turned him into an alien and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really, I like this, like what you printed on, and it looks cool.
Yeah, it's like a black vinyl with like a lighter. Usually I don't print on dark colors. Usually I print on like lighter colors. I don't like reversing stuff unless it's like doing stencils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about just like what you print on, like, because there's you say like the hologram style paper that you got here. You've been experimenting with that. Yeah, run us through that.
So like it started off with label 228s, and then I started finding like sticker paper, and then I started finding out about vinyl, and there's like different kinds of vinyl. There's not just like there's like not one universal brand. There's different kinds. Like I know people are using like, the inside of drawers where you put that like contact paper. People were using contact paper for stickers. They would draw on it or stencil, spray paint something on it, cut it out. But then they find out that the adhesive on it sucks and anybody could just walk up and peel it off.
Yeah.
So, I was doing stencil art, and then I'm actually a self-taught silk screener. All the silk screening stuff I did, I learned on my own or got tips from friends. I would go home, fuck up and get pissed, want to quit, ask for advice, go try it again. Maybe it'd work and I fuck up somewhere else. Like silk screening's like kind of like that. It's not like you're just going to grab a silk screen and burn a perfect screen and print the stickers perfect.
Yeah.
Because I used to use, like, there's different inks you can use too for printing on vinyl and stuff like that. Two of them are really toxic for you, to be honest. Enamel-based inks, which basically you have to clean the screen with a special chemical. The stickers will air dry, so you print them, set them on a rack, let them dry. They'll dry by themselves. But you have to clean the screen, and it's pretty toxic, like the chemicals used. And then there's plastisol, which is never dries by air drying it. You have to heat it up, so you have to have like a heat gun or a heat press or something like that, or a conveyor dryer, where you put it through, and it basically melts bonds the plastic ink to the vinyl. I don't use that stuff either because the reaction that happens, those chemicals that are released in the air, are bad for you. I actually use water-based inks. All these stickers are printed with water-based inks that I just got from Dick Blick. They're for fabric, but they air dry. And when I'm done, all I got to do is put water on the screen and clean it out.
So are you strictly sticker right now?
I mean, I make posters and actually... So on the last Thursday, I think it's the 27th, I'll be a part of the new Vinyl Killers show at the Goodfoot. Vinyl Killers was created by an artist named Clutch here in Portland in the year 2000. The first ever in the world exhibit of hand-painted vinyl records in the world. And they did, I think, like 8 of them.
So what's the organization all about? Like, what do they do?
What do you mean?
Like, so it's all about the Vinyl Killers, and you put on shows here and there. Like, how often do you guys have shows?
Well, I know the guys who run the Goodfoot. They haven't thrown a Vinyl Killer show in like 5 years, actually. This will be the 4th one that I'm a part of. And like last night I made 3 new vinyl records, actually, just silk screening, stenciling, hand painting them, using different techniques, things I've learned over the years. I've probably cut out about 1,000 stencils in my life already or more. I don't even know. I have no idea how many stickers I've cut out. Like, my hands are going to hurt someday.
Yeah, right.
So why did you, when you first came on, you were talking about how you were drawing your heroes and then scammers, which is a weird like dichotomy. Instead of like heroes and villains, or like heroes and like people you hate, or your enemies or whatever. Why scammers? Why was scammers to you the opposite of heroes?
I don't know. It was like the paradigm, I always have kind of been. I like paradigms, I like the left-right paradigm, which is like a conspiracy.
You mean like dichotomies? Or whatever? Like the
polar
opposing
opposites.
forces? Yeah. Paradigm's exactly. More like a concept. Yeah. But so yeah, what about, okay, so does scammers particularly bug you?
Well, I think as everybody who lives a normal life, you deal with frustrating things in your life every day.
Yeah.
And I found it really easy for me to like research a certain person or a thing that they've done, like I did Charlie Manson,
Yeah.
Like I've read Helter Skelter and, know a bunch of things about him. Or I did like, Pence, Trump. I even did Obama, I've done pretty much almost a lot of different, politicians, just pointing out, what their scam is, why I feel like they're a scam. I'm definitely not a religious person. I'm an atheist. I grew up in an area where religion was very much forced down my throat. And so like, I'm happy to live here in Portland because it's the least religious city in the United States.
Is it really?
It is.
It's up there. If I don't know if like statistically.
Is. Yeah, statistically.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, that's a common theme. It's almost like, being Christian can be taboo here almost.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean? Like you almost don't want to tell everyone.
Yeah, it's
if
like
you're Christian here.
Yeah,
it's
no,
weird. It's weird.
It is like that here in Portland. And like I always use like imagery of like evil and like zombies. Like George Romero, I think, was a genius to show like the different ways you could just use the theme of people being undead to have these social commentaries or political commentaries, or even be funny or clever or whatever. So like Dawn of the Dead, on like how we use zombies. It's really funny to see a bunch of undead just like people in a mall, like consumers, so it's like I like stuff like that.
Is that a painting or a drawing?
What's that?
Of a bunch of zombies in the mall. What are you referring
the
to?
Dawn of the Dead. The movie.
Oh, the actual movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
The scene in the movie.
Yeah,
my bad.
Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, definitely. But I like that, George Romero did stuff like that. Horror movies have always been like a huge influence on me growing up. I grew up in the 80s, and I remember going to the video store and trying to find, you go up to the counter with your cassette tape and like hide it from your mom, so she doesn't see which one you're getting. Or like things I'd do when I was like a teenager is we'd go to like some shitty comedy or whatever, and we'd see what time it starts, and then we'd be like, oh, or like Jason Goes to Hell starts like 10 minutes later. Let's go to this one and then sneak into Jason Goes to Hell. And so I would do things like that when I was a teenager.
So I got a question. Are you like full-time doing this?
No. I don't do Skam full-time.
Okay.
I mean, I do it full-time, but I don't do it to primarily support myself.
Because you put out a lot. I mean, you brought a lot of stuff, and this is great.
I work really hard at it. That work ethic kind of basically comes from being in North Dakota. Like being there, it's like people only do a couple different things. Either they work all the time, have babies, become alcoholics, or smoke meth. Like that's it. And I don't want to have babies. I don't like to drink.
A lot of parts of the country.
Yeah. I don't smoke meth, you know.
Yeah.
So I just worked really hard when I was there, and I think that work ethic kind of spills off into my art. I do have a full-time job, a day job, and everything like that. I don't tell people really what it is.
Yeah, a lot of artists do.
It's like a personal thing, you know. But I've made a living off of doing Skam before. It's really hard.
Any artist is going to have difficulty making a living off it, at least for a good while.
Yeah, hustling is really hard. It sucks. I don't like to do it because, like, I saw this cartoon the other day, okay, and it shows like a guy playing piano, and he's like, there's the comments like, man, I used to really like this when it didn't become a chore, and like I relate to that, like, because when you start doing art to make money, you kind of like, I feel like you kind of compromise your ideals unless that's your whole purpose.
So you experienced this personally?
Personally, yeah. About 4 years ago, I lived off a Skam for about a year, and then
what was it like?
It was hard. Every month to month, it was just like hustling T-shirts and sticker packs and posters and skateboards and all different kinds of different things that I'd paint on.
Really?
Or I'd do like print jobs for people, so I wasn't even printing my stuff. Still just kind of, you know, doing whatever I could to get by.
Yeah, you almost lose a little bit of your visual integrity when you hand things off to people all the time. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause you don't, it's not entirely yours. And I experienced that. I mean, I think every artist experienced that. Unless you, for me, let's say with photography, if I give it to someone else to edit, like I might use different ways to get specific looks. And if they don't use those same exact way, it's not going to look exactly the way I want it. But you know what? Like, to the viewer, they might not notice that difference. If I just say like, "Oh yeah, darken the blues" or some shit, like the people will know, like they'll know that the blues are darker, but they won't know how they darken the blues. This is like super deep, like Photoshop.
Yeah. But like, for sure. But
that,
you got a good point.
I'm sure that applies to this as well. What? I don't know how to like transition this, but like I went without totally blowing off what you're talking about. Like what kind of things do you think people try to outsource that they shouldn't be who are making stickers?
Well, this is what I experienced like with my whole reason. I found out that when I would sit down to work on something, I wouldn't just be working on it to be like, oh, I want to draw a melty face skeleton or something. I'd be like, oh, what do I got to draw that people will buy?
Yeah.
And
you feel more like a business.
Yes. And I don't like that feeling. You know, I do this because it makes me happy and I enjoy doing it and I have fun doing it and everything. I also I feel like it's important to walk around the city that you live in. And every day I get to do this where I walk around and experience my city, and I put stickers wherever I go. I try to not ruin anybody's day or anything. I have a code, you know, when it comes to like putting up street art and stuff like that, you know, on the back of a stop sign, you know, or abandoned building, who cares, you know?
Yeah.
There's differences. Like, actually just in the news today, I don't know if you ever saw this, but if you're driving on the 84, this graffiti artist named Mook tagged his stuff on these new LED screens that they put up, did like $27,000 worth of damage.
Oh yeah.
And they just caught him.
Really?
They just caught him.
Yeah, we've talked about this. Who was it who was saying, oh, was it Ace? Who was like, yeah,
you talking about Asinine's friend?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, it was Asinine.
Citizen and Asinine both had friends.
Yeah, they were saying like, you just got to be careful because if you,
Ace was saying to be careful too. Yeah, definitely. But
if you tag the wrong
I've definitely been a target here in Portland before by the graffiti abatement. So
what do you mean?
So the graffiti abatement is a group of the police department that specifically goes after graffiti or street artists. And an incident happened in 2012. It's like 6 years ago. So at one point in time, the city had a bunch of funding to basically go after graffiti artists and street artists. At one point in time in Portland had a very prevalent graffiti scene, but the officer Anthony Zanetti and
called him out.
Matt Miller, these officers went and dismantled the graffiti scene and got people to snitch on each other, you know, basically turned it into a felony. And Portland's graffiti scene kind of fell apart. It wasn't that great. They're not recognized really around the United States for what they do.
Is this still a felony?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what happened is like this stickers. I came here in 2008. This sticker scene kind of evolved, and people come here from all over the world now to be a part of Portland's like sticker scene.
Dude, I didn't realize that. It totally makes sense now. You're totally right. Like I see stickers everywhere.
When I first came here like 10 years ago, there's only like 4 artists. It was just like me, Nasty Nate, Cat Butt, which is like this cat with the X as the butt, and Mr. Say. There was only like 4 of us, and now the community's like exploded. It's like, but at one point in time, there was an artist. His name was Snuggles the Wonder Fag. That was his name. Gay guy. He actually he's a poet. He writes. He's actually like a published poet and everything now. But at this point in time in his life, he had got in trouble for drugs and was on probation. I hung out with him on like a Sunday. Okay, he came over to my studio. We were showing him how to silkscreen stuff or whatever. And then a couple days later, all of a sudden I get a phone call from him. He's like, hey, I just went to my probation meeting and this happened. So he has to go to his probation meeting because he gets piss tested and stuff. And he shows up to his probation meeting and Matt Miller and Anthony Zanetti are sitting there.
Oh, geez.
And they're like, hey, we know that you're Snuggles, the sticker artist, blah, 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 you know? And they're like, they start asking him questions. They're like, and the first question they asked him is like, do you know who Skam is? And he literally hung out with me like 3 days before this. And then the second question, he's like, do you know RX Skulls is?
Oh, shit.
And so he calls me and tells me this. And like, I'm, a little freaked out about it. I tell RX quits doing stickers for like 3 months because he's like overly paranoid that he's going to get in trouble and stuff like that. But the graffiti abatement lost their funding and both the guys lost their jobs.
Wow.
So, but now they just got a bunch more funding this year. So who knows, but this was in 2012 and, I've been stopped by the police multiple times doing street art, graffiti, or like, putting up posters or stickers. And I've totally just played it off like I'm dumb. Like I'm a promoter or something. I got stopped by a cop one time and he's like, hey, you can't, like, I put a sticker on a box and I didn't notice that he was over there. And then I noticed him out of my peripheral view. I kept walking and he goes, hey, and I act like I didn't hear what he said. And he's like, hey, you. And then I like turn around and he's like, that's illegal. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just walking on the street, and he's like, you put a sticker on there. And I was like, that's illegal. I was like, there's stickers all over there. Like, I'm just promoting my band. And he's like, I was like, I can take it off for you. Look. And I just go and I ripped it right off. Or like, I took it right off right away.
That probably helped.
Because I didn't get the corner, I guess, he's all like, you've been putting these up all around the neighborhood? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I don't want to see anymore. And I'm like, okay, I won't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. But, never going to see this guy again.
Yeah.
And then I would say probably about a month and a half ago, I was putting up stickers and I didn't notice that there was an undercover cop like literally watching me put up this.
Is that common? Are there a lot of undercover cops out for?
I don't know, not for that. He was like getting donuts from a donut shop. Actually, the most cliche.
Oh my god! Yeah.
The most cliche like cop thing you can do.
Coffee.
And,
also.
Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, that's illegal." And I was like, "What's illegal?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm just promoting my band." And I'm like, "Do you want me to take it down?" And he's like, "No, you don't have to take it down." And then he points to like a wooden pole with a bunch of, staples in it. He's like, why don't you just put them up on that pole? And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
All right, have a good day.
That's awesome.
Wow. So what do you think, like, if, let's say the city cracks down on this again and they include stickers into the graffiti group, I forget what it's called. What do you think that people would do?
I think it's really going to be really hard because like the post no bills laws, you know what I mean? Like literally PNCA in the past has done this where for their classes, they have people make a bunch of posters and then they go wheat paste them up on the street.
Really? That's a class?
They did it at one point in time. I don't know if they do it currently after they moved from their old location.
Yeah.
But I used to hang out in that studio, and some of the teachers would go and take students out and teach them how to wheat paste and stuff like that. It was like
I love that old building. That old building was so cool.
I got to go in there actually before they tore it down, and then I was always like around PNC. I never went to school there. All the teachers knew who I was and stuff. They would let me go into their studio and use their silk screening stuff.
Wow.
And, I helped around. I didn't even go to school there, and I just helped around. But they let us use their facility, and they came and approached a bunch of us, like Vox Romana, RX Skulls, Dr. Rasturbator was another one. He doesn't really do stuff anymore. But we all got to go and wheat paste and put up posters and sticker combos or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. It seems like you have a very, like a fine art flair to what you do, but you turn it into stickers and you have a more digital approach. We talk about how incorporating digital into street art or any kind of like programs, like Adobe programs, how it's controversial. Like some people do it, some people don't, some people like it, some people are against it. Where do you stand on that?
I would consider myself to be a multimedia artist.
Yeah.
I use computers to draw what I'm doing. But then, like, for example, like this is a block print right here. So, like,
you got a total like fine art flair to everything you do.
This is carved out and then print made.
Like this is drawn really well.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, like look at that.
I use a tablet to draw and illustrate these.
Wait, you did that on a tablet?
That's a collaboration. Narcosi drew that one, but some of these other ones, like this, I drew this one. I mean, it just really depends.
Is this woodblock too, the Charles Manson one?
No, that's a thermal print. Okay. So I found out in like 2009 that thermal printers, you can go to UPS's website, not the U.S. Postal Service, but UPS's website. Sign up a fake business, put in your credit card information, and you can just go through and order all the free supplies you want over and over and over
like
again.
Printers?
No, like those stickers.
The paper. Okay.
Because a thermal printer is done with heat. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no ink involved. Basically, the paper is it's like a receipt. It's reactive to the heat in the thermal print head.
Yeah.
So basically, I have this thermal printer that I can hook up to my computer after I illustrate something. And I'm like 400 stickers, because you can order 30,000 stickers at a time from them.
How much is a printer?
The thermal printer I bought at the time was about $900.
Jesus.
But I've literally printed over almost half a million.
Because you
like
never
500,000 stickers.
Because you never have to buy ink. You never have to replace.
You have to replace the thermal print head if the cells in it burn out.
How long would that take?
I've had it since 2009, and none of them have burnt out. So.
Yeah, from my understanding, like those things last forever. Like people still have printers from the 80s that work without an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's why they're jacking up the price.
Basically, you're just like, my friends will come over and they're like, "Hey, can you print me some thermal stickers?" And they come in two different sizes, 4x8 and 4x11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you lose quality though?
What's that?
Do you lose quality?
Well, the thing with thermal stickers is they're great for inside, putting them on your laptop, like whatever. As soon as you put them outside, the sun will burn them out. And so what happens?
Oh, yeah.
The sun basically bleaches it so that the image turns white. And you no longer see it.
Okay, weird. Wait, it bleaches it? It doesn't turn it black?
No, it doesn't turn it black. It turns it white. At first, what happens is like the area that's been printed on turns like this weird, like brown. It looks really gross and nasty, and then eventually fades to white.
Damn. News to me.
What do you do to keep your head in the game?
I read a lot. I'm a pretty big gamer right now. I got the new Spiderman game. It's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. What, Christian was just telling me the same thing. Christian Gabriel, when he had him on, he was like, "Dude, I'm waiting for that." He texted me. He was about. He did. I hooked him up with L. Stanger and Slutwalk, and he did art for Slutwalk. And I don't know. He was just like, "So how are you doing?" And I was like, "Good. How are you?" He's like, "Good. She got the new Spider-Man game."
It's pretty awesome. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I relate to Peter Parker. I think I was kind of a nerd when I was growing up. Still kind of a nerd, you know, like I'm a sticker nerd, you know. So like I relate to Peter Parker. I like Spider-Man. I have the old comics and stuff like that. And
wow, did you go to Comic-Con?
no, actually, I do have a Spider-Man. Hello Kitska and I, we do themed costumes, and this year I'm going to be Jason, and she's going to be a camp counselor. Last year,
A camp counselor?
she was Ripley from Aliens, and I was like a person with a chest burster, like coming out of my chest. I even had this mask that I could put on with the hands that reach around your head and stuff.
Whoa.
So I could take it off. So I'd put a bunch of makeup around my mouth so it looked like I had like something protruding.
Oh,
under my
yeah.
mouth. So
Wait, what does a camp counselor look like? I'm really curious.
I mean, just like you had a camp counselor, you know, she's gonna
Polo and shorts, or
we're gonna get like a machete thing that she can like put in her head, so it looks like a, you know.
Oh, okay. So like a dead camp counselor
from the Jason movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
from the
imagining
Friday
like someone
13th
in like
movies,
someone wearing like a hoodie with a little like log slice and their name on it or
Yeah,
something.
pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's-
mean that
I mean,
works
that's
too. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's perfect. Maybe a fake guitar, you know, to sing "Kumbaya" or something.
Yeah.
You know, so she was Ripley, and I was like an alien victim. And then the year before that, I actually got fitted for a Spider-Man costume that I got 3D printed from Japan. And I actually was zombie Spider-Man for Halloween. So I literally ruined the costume when I did this, but I can still wear it and everything. I got this fake piece that looks like a rib cage. So I would cut open the inside of it and use fake blood and stuff.
Whoa.
So it looked like I'd have like my ribs, and then the mask itself, I destroyed the mouth part, and I got this like mask that I can put on, so it looks like I have a zombie mouth, but I could still see out of the eyes and everything.
Damn, you get into it.
Oh yeah, I love Halloween. For Halloweens in the past, one year I did about 30 people, my friends, as zombies. We were a zombie horde for Halloween. So we'd pick one bar and be like, let's meet there. And all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 zombies would walk in. And then all of a sudden 6, 10, 15, 30, like, and people would just be like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. And then the next year we did Dog the Bounty Hunter. Everyone was Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dude, they have those like Guy Fieri pub crawls in New York that look really funny, where everyone dresses like Guy Fieri, like hundreds of people.
That sounds horrifying.
No, that sounds like really funny. Like everyone's just yelling.
Where do you
like,
go get a flame shirt? You know what I mean? Like
Flavortown. You go to Flavortown.
you go to
just get it.
Flavortown.
Yeah.
What if they're out? Like,
Yeah, I would go to New York to do that Guy Fieri pub crawl with hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
I don't doubt you would.
isn't there like a banana one that happens here? Everyone dresses up as bananas in Portland.
There's SantaCon, which is Alex's
SantaCon.
favorite thing.
There's Leprechaun. There's the BunnyCon. There's the superhero one. There's a lot of them. Yeah, the SantaCon, I definitely. Yeah, actually, I haven't done it for a while.
I've done a
long
zombie
time,
walk
but
like,
here in
yeah.
Portland when you
Dude.
could do them downtown. They made it illegal now. It's like,
Dude, I remember at remember that like zombie game that was going around where it was something for zombies, but like real life, and people would have Nerf guns and they would run around. I saw that. Yeah, they would do it like
wasn't it
in
on like a
cities.
tour or something? They brought it to Portland or something.
Yeah, but like it would be intense. I remember I was at OSU at the time, and you would wear a flag, and now it's like how you would identify yourself as a regular person or a zombie or just someone playing the game. And there would be classes in section, like at a lecture, and then like a zombie would stand up, and like the other person would stand up, and they'd be like facing off in the class, and like just like running over people and like running away. And it's like the instructor's like, guys, what the hell are you doing? Like, stop playing this stupid game in science class. And it was just really weird.
Isn't all of life just a game, though?
It wasn't good.
I kind of like that stuff because it's like it makes you realize that every day you're just waking up and playing some fucking role and following all these like kind of arbitrary rules. Like there's a reason for them all, but it's ultimately the same feeling. Like if you were to play a zombie game, but it's like, well, everyone's playing the zombie game. Like we've all agreed to these rules, and all of a
that's
sudden
why
it's
I
like
like
just as
Halloween.
real as everyday life.
That's
in
very
every
Fight Club of
society.
you to say that. Very Fight Club. Very Fight Club.
Yeah, Fight Club's. Fight Club made an impact for a reason, didn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
Dude.
definitely. I love that movie.
You know what movie I rewatched the other night was The Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
is it
my
because of the thing that we're doing?
Oh yeah,
I don't want to ruin it.
Oh yeah.
But is that
there
why?
was something that involved kung fu, and I totally, I love The Matrix. I think The Matrix.
Dude, me too.
It might
I didn't
be,
know that.
It might be my favorite movie of all time.
Me too, dude. It's definitely top like 3.
Yeah,
at least,
so-
if not number. Yeah,
I remember
so
seeing it in
good.
theaters and being like, "Whoa!" I saw it
Yeah.
3 times.
Me too. I did too. That's so funny.
So good.
I did the same thing. Yeah, I was like, no, I can't get enough. I think I've seen the movie probably 20 or 30 times. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I can't stop watching it, man.
When I was like learning video editing when I was like 11 or 12, I just used that movie. Like I cut like every scene from that movie, edited so many scenes, did such weird stuff to it. Yeah, I don't know. That was like that was the movie.
There's
You
so
think
much
that's
going
the movie
on.
you've seen the most?
What?
You think that one's the one you've seen?
Yeah.
The most?
No, it is for no question.
I think the Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. I've seen that movie so many times.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. I
You've
don't
never
think.
seen The Thing?
The Thing.
It's like amazing.
Wait, is that the superhero?
No. The
No.
Thing is a John Carpenter story.
Is there a,
It's a
there's, a, there's a
monster.
thing.
Yeah, there
right?
is
Like-
a thing in like Fantastic Four or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
And it's like a classic John Carpenter 1981 horror movie that takes place in Antarctica. And it's awesome.
I gotta get in on that.
That does sound actually interesting. Yeah, we should probably watch
I
it.
love like vintage stuff like that. Like
I gotta stop watching The Matrix. Keep watching The
Is
Matrix.
the 80s vintage now for movies?
I would say so.
Well, I think
81
anything
probably.
that's older than 20 years is like a classic, according to Luke and his car situation. Luke had an 80s Supra, or was it? It wasn't a Supra. It was something. It was like a Celica or something. And because it was 20 years old, it was considered a classic car, and that was all new to me.
How do you call how do you what is classic? What's the
20 over
definition?
20 years old?
Just for anything though?
Anything, yeah. Over 20 years old, it's classic.
Wow.
Which
It
is,
just feels so young.
dude. Actually,
so
no. I was on the radio, listening to the radio, and it was like an oldies station, and they were playing like
CNC Music Factory.
No,
no,
They're
they're
like-
playing like
they're playing oldies.
they're playing like Led Zeppelin or something, and I'm like, they're calling this oldies?
Well, Led Zeppelin's old. Dude, think about it. You said 20 years. That's all of the 90s.
No, I agree.
That's all of
I
the
agree.
90s. Everything
But-
from the 90s
Dude,
is classic.
when I think of
Limp
the oldies,
Bizkit.
no, when I think of the oldies, I think of like Temptations and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like that's
Right.
oldies to me. Led Zeppelin's classic rock,
Well, that's still classic then.
but oldies,
Yeah, oldies. Yeah. No, I think it's oldie. Well, that's 50 years ago now, dude.
dude, it's old.
Almost.
Fuck, man.
Not quite, but almost, right? I don't know when Stairway to Heaven came out or whatever. Or
In the
most of
70s, right?
That's what I thought. But
Yeah.
like beginning.
73 or 72
Yeah, okay.
or
So we're
something?
5 years, or so we're 25 years out. Or I mean, 45 years out. Yeah. That's
Time
wow,
needs to
holy
stop.
shit. Yeah.
I'm not down for this.
Yeah, time needs to just
I
take
don't like it.
Take a break.
Take a break, yeah.
Have a mojito, lay
Speaking
on the
of
beach for a second, and just give us a second to catch up to you, man.
Yeah. Speaking of taking breaks, like, what do you do to clear your head?
Like
Besides read and video
well-
games.
Well, reading's probably like really how I'd like to take a break. Like, I do like to go hiking, stuff like that as well, going out to the coast and everything. But like this year, I've read quite a few books. This year I finished reading The Stand, the extended edition by Stephen King, which is like 1,500 pages. I read Preacher, the graphic novels Preacher, which was fucking amazing. The best graphic novel story I've ever read, ever.
I could tell you're probably into graphic novels by your style,
yeah.
man. I could definitely see it translating over.
Definitely like The Walking Dead. I've read all those. They fucked up the show though. That's what I do to like unwind and play with my cats. So and dog. I have a cat named Dr. Dude.
Dr. Dude.
Yeah, he's a philosopher.
Whoa. That's great, man. So what do you got coming up?
So Vinyl Killers is coming up on the 27th at the Goodfoot. Starts at 7:00. There's going to be nothing but vinyl records there with a bunch of artists. Some of them who have even been on your show, like Citizen.
Oh, hell yeah.
Asanine's going to be in there. Ace Troy.
Hell yeah.
Woke Face. Hello Kitska. She's going to be in there.
What's the date of it again?
The 27th. It's the last Thursday.
Oh,
is
okay.
when it's going up.
Goodfoot.
So that's going on. There's a show I'm sending off to Sweden. So that's in December. And then there's a show in DC that I'm also a part of, a sticker event called the DC Sticker Expo. They literally just came. I should have brought it with me. I didn't even think about
Man.
it. They just published a book about the first 3 shows that he did. And it actually, when it was released, outbeat Banksy and like Shepard Fairey. It's like the #1 street art book right now. He sold tons of copies. And there's a part in the book about, this is actually about me, like throwing Sticker Nerds. Sticker Nerds was like this first event that I threw in 2010. We threw 3 of them, and by the time we threw the third one, we got over 60,000 stickers from around the world to install in this big thing. But it's like too much. Like I've always thought about throwing another one, but it's like literally every single time I do, it's like I lose my job.
Yeah, like, it's such a commitment.
It's you have to really invest your whole time into it and everything.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do a Halloween show this year, but it just didn't work out. We threw a sticker show in 2010 called Sticker Treat. So it was like you go there and get stickers and candy and stuff like that. And it was like a Halloween costume party.
I'm such a sucker for puns. I'm such a sucker. I always laugh and like that lizard that goes, I'm like, that's me. Whenever I hear a pun, I feel so lame. Ben shaking his head. Well, that's
so yeah,
cool.
I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, and I'm always working on new stuff all the time. Every year I do what's known as the dollar bill right there. That was the first one I did of those. Those are called my corporate masters. I do a corporate masters every year, and I researched about bills that were actually in print, because you can go online and look up all these fake ones that people have made and stuff like that. But you know, it goes up to, I believe, the $100,000 bill, and so far I've done the 20, the 50. The 100, the 500, and the $1,000 bill.
Whoa!
So I want to do all the bills and then have like a money themed show from all the years I've worked on these different things and how these posters have shown up in other shows, or I painted records with this stuff. You know, I want to do a show that is about $0.
Man,
they all say $0 on them.
Well, you're all over the place. It looks like you're crushing it, even though you reverted from full-time Skam. It seems like you're doing all right for yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah.
My job entails me to actually go around the city, so it works out
helps.
in my favor.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, hey man, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Bringing all the stickers, bringing the heat.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
thank you.
Yeah. Everyone, go to Goodfoot. Right?
Yeah, the Goodfoot.
September 27th.
You can tune into my Instagram,
Thursday.
you know, Skam Sticker. You can find information on there. I posted about it last night, actually.
Yeah.
I'll post about it some more before the show comes up.
Well, I'd love to go just because I'd love to see Woke Faces and Asinine.
Oh, it's really cool.
All the homies,
I don't know if you've ever been to a show where it's just like vinyl records stacked. The whole walls are covered. It's
That's
really
cool. I want to check that out.
Yeah.
And you guys should too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And see everyone out there at Goodfoot last Thursday.
All right. Shout out to Cascade Street Distilleries, North Sister Vodka, for sponsoring our podcast. Very delicious. Skam loved it. He had the entire bottle to himself.
Wasted.
And we will see you guys next time.
Peace
Thank
out.
you very much. Peace out.